not going to wait for a few because apparently we have quorum, so I'm going to start the meeting. We would like to acknowledge that we are privileged to meet on the unceded and ancestral territories of the Squamish and Statlian Nations. We have an agenda recommendation, please.
That the agenda of this meeting be approved.
Thank you, Cynthia. Do we have a second? Thank you, Rebecca. All in favor? And carried. We have reference materials for minutes that were approved at the April 8th board meeting. Trustee items. Are there any trustee items? Seeing none. Information items, the 2025-2026 policy review schedule. Danielle.
That's just more there for reference. There's no changes to the
Okay,
schedule.
so we can move forward into our discussion items. And the first one is bylaw 200.1 trustee elections. Danielle.
Yes, it's finally ready. So last year I was informed that there were several changes required to the legislation for this upcoming election period. And due to the number of changes, I had Harris and Company review our bylaw and help us update it to match the new legislation. And so the changes from the new bylaw include, there's a new section that permits mail-in voting, which is, it's based on if the chief elections officer allows for it in the specific municipalities that are running on our behalf. So it's really up to them, but it's allowing for us to allow for that if the chief elections officer allows for that. It's up to their decision. And then now we're required to state all the advanced voting dates for each municipality. So that took us a while to finalize with each of the municipalities because they had to pass their bylaws. It has to be in their bylaws. So it took us a while to gather that information. And one of the other changes now is we have to state if the municipality is conducting the election by using the provincial voters list or if they're using same-day registration for voting. And also we have to now list where the public notice posting places are for each municipality and in the board office. So quite a few changes required as a result of the legislation.
Okay. Any questions for Danielle?
I have a question that I couldn't quite find the answer to, but if not enough people run, what happens?
So if we aren't able to get all the positions filled.
Yeah. What if nobody runs in?
Yeah.
Sure. Not Squamish.
I think I have to work with the ministry on that. So I know that happens in Gulf Islands. Where they weren't able to fill all the positions. So I don't know. I think they might have appointed somebody. They might try to look around to see if they can find somebody to appoint.
Yeah.
That is able to do that work, but we would have to work with the province on that. That's a good question.
Yeah, it's a good question. I've thought of it too, but I don't think it's ever happened in Sea Sky.
Not that I'm aware of.
So if you're not going to run, then you need to advocate.
Yeah. Everyone should advocate. For people to run.
Well, that's how I ended up running. Mike Milner was resigning and came and asked me. Otherwise, nobody would have. It was never on my radar.
Right.
Yeah.
So if I may, it is under section 36(6) of the School Act. It's the minister may appoint persons to fill in the vacancies. So there is a
That makes
process
sense,
to which
yeah.
the minister follows. As
Did they just be like, okay, you look like you do a good job, you're appointed?
No, it's usually they would probably work with the municipality. They probably look around and see if there's anybody local. They obviously would want to have somebody that it makes sense for them to. They probably just do some consultation. Maybe it's some work around it, I'm sure. So
Okay, not even on the screen. Look. You see it?
That's me.
Okay. Go ahead, Celeste.
Thank you, April. Danielle, I think you've already answered this, but I just want to make sure that I understand. So under section 5.1.2, the different days were decided by the municipalities in their bylaws, like the seventh day before or the Saturday before. It seems strange to me that one was a Saturday and one was the seventh day before. So that's just the difference between the municipalities?
Yeah, that's right. I think in the 5.1.11 where they all say the 10th day, I think that's actually in legislation somewhere. But the rest of them, they can decide. So for whatever reason, SLRD has chosen 2 different days for the area C and area D. For the
Yeah, maybe that's staffing related. I wonder if it might future-proof the bylaw to simply refer them to the documents, because those documents could change and then we would be out of alignment, right?
No, so some of the bylaws and the municipalities haven't been run yet, and we're required to do ours by June 24th. And so some
Okay.
of them are actually doing it in June.
Okay.
And they're not required to do it till later, but I've confirmed the dates with them. They said that they won't change. So I actually can't link it to theirs.
Okay, and it's just something that we know we may have to watch, like if that for any reason were to change in the future, we'd have to amend this to be in alignment with whatever it is that they're doing.
That's right. Yeah.
I had 2 more really quick questions. 6.1, that addition, I'm assuming that is in legislation, the reason why that has been added. Yep. And then the only other comment that I had on this, often when we have a bylaw, we'll do 3 readings on one day due to just time restrictions, and that's the case for this one as well.
This one, like if something happened and you wanted me to look into something further, like it doesn't have to be done today. I just have to have it done by the June board meeting. So it's urgent, like I have to have it done by June, but I can actually be extended by 1 more month if we needed to.
I don't necessarily feel strongly about this policy. I don't, or this bylaw. I don't have big feelings about it, but I think generally wonder if the reason that you would do 3 readings is to give it time, just in case someone did think of, looking at it twice, the chances of noticing something are greater. So just as a practice, I wonder if us automatically giving 3 readings on a day is a good idea, but that's just a comment. I don't have strong feelings about what is in this bylaw or giving 3 readings in one day for this one necessarily.
Okay, thank you, Celeste. Any other questions or comments for the trustee elections? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to policy 809, video surveillance. Again, Danielle.
Okay. So as you recall, there used to be a piece on video surveillance inside the privacy policy. And now that's been moved to its own policy. And so because it's its own policy, it now requires public consultation because it's a new policy. So this was drafted by our lawyers, and I just wanted to see if there was any feedback on it before it goes out for public consultation.
Anybody? Go ahead, Cynthia.
I feel like at this point, unless anyone sees something significant or glaring, that we should put it out to public consultation as is and see what comes back.
Any thoughts on that? Go ahead, Celeste.
Yeah, so there were a couple things that stood out for me in this policy. I had reviewed a guidance document on employee privacy rights that was published by the Office of the Information and Privacy Commissioner in British Columbia. And one of the things mentioned in that document is that policy should, as a best practice, outline the process for responding to any complaints or concerns. And that's something that I didn't necessarily see in this policy. So just feedback on consideration around that piece that I think could be important not only for employees, but also for students and members of the public who might be in our buildings. I can circulate that document. It is readily available online. And then I also was a bit concerned about section 2.3. It says that video surveillance is not used to routinely monitor student or employee productivity and or performance. And the way that I read that is it's not routinely used, but it sometimes might be used. And then it further goes on to say that the district reserves the right to use and rely on footage in the event that it captures evidence related to any incident, investigation, or proceeding. So I just, at the beginning of the policy, it says that the purpose of the policy is enhancing the safety of students, staff, and the members of the public, protecting property and deterring vandalism. So is the policy about employee performance, or is it about the things that it says in the first paragraph? I'm not sure that I'm entirely comfortable with 2.3. I think that it could be problematic. And I think that that is it for the time being. Thank you.
So the video surveillance is not, it's mostly not for that. However, if something happens and we're made aware of it, we do have an obligation to look up on our cameras to see. And then sometimes it's like the police actually will be like, come to us and be like, we need to see the coverage of the video, or there's stuff that happens on the grounds that we need to look at to see what happened. And something might get uncovered by the scene, just looking to things that happen. So it is required that we have to document that in case something does happen. We have to have that piece in the policy. It has to be in there.
Any other comments? Okay. Being none. Could we move on to policy 202, please? Trustee role. And again, Danielle.
Okay. Lisa, do you mind if we mute you?
Oh, of course. Sorry. I can jump in and do that. I'm so sorry. I thought I did that.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay. So for trustee role, Chris is at the last board meeting gathered a whole bunch of information for everybody on what other school districts are doing for online meetings, participation for online meetings, So there's a number of options drafted in the policy that we sent out to everybody. And it's within the board, like in the policy itself. So I guess you can open it up for discussion around what you would like to do for that.
And for the record, the staff has no recommendation one or the other. This is purely for the board. So just as hopefully a help, I just took the liberty of drafting a number of things for consideration. That, again, from least to most restrictive based on the document that I shared.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris, for taking the effort to doing that. So you'll see below that the highlighted 4.16. You'll see the suggested options. Does anybody want to open discussion on that? And Celeste, go ahead.
Yeah, so I just made some notes on this. So what I want to say on this is let's not put too much focus on trustees simply being physically present. Preparation for meetings, reading agendas, and being prepared to engage in debate are equally important, or perhaps more important than the mode of attendance. We frequently have staff and students attending board meetings remotely due to the practicalities associated with having such a geographically large school district. We live in a day and age that allows us to use technology for conducting business in more efficient ways than previously possible. The vast majority of the public who are accessing our meetings are doing so electronically. People rarely attend our meetings in person. The impact on our carbon emissions should not be ignored. In some instances, it is responsible to utilize remote attendance options. Finally, we need to be mindful about privacy considerations and the conflict that could be created by being tempted to overreach, given the wording, some of the wording that's presented here as an option for us. In addition, as an organization, we would not want to limit participation based on disability that may, or other medical necessities that may require remote attendance. Medical privacy laws that apply to employees could reasonably be expected to apply to trustees serving an elected role, so we should tread carefully with respect to what we are putting in policy and perhaps conduct a proper assessment before making any changes. The BC Civil Liberties Association Privacy Handbook has some considerations that might be worth looking into, and I would hate to see us create a situation where we have a potential complaint to the Ombudsperson's office.
Okay, thank you for that, Celeste. I would just add to that, that this 4.16, I would just point out, not add to, that it refers also to events and other functions that go beyond the monthly meeting. So I don't know which one of the suggested options you were speaking to, but we need to keep that in mind as well. You spoke about attending the Zoom meetings, but not the other categories, which are events and functions. So I don't know if you want to speak to that or if somebody else wants to speak to that, but it is part of 4.16.
I can, if you like.
Lisa, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I'd like to speak to that because we've had numerous occasions where not everybody is able to attend events and functions. We've got the retirement coming up tomorrow. I know I'm in attendance for that one. I know that if you look at the school learning plan attendance sheets, they are very there's not equal weight for equal trustees. There's many situations that arise, and I think the policy was fine as was. I'm a unique human, and I do disclose my medical probably more freely than I should. I'm having to report that medical to the chair. I don't know, there's a bunch of stuff in there, and I was fine with how the policy was before. And I think extenuating circumstances come up for everyone. And I don't think it's fair to suggest that you make everything. We have staff that do their best to make everything, but sometimes they can't either. So yeah, that would be my only feedback. Thank you. I'll mute again.
Okay, so just for clarification, Lisa, I think you said it a couple of times, you are okay with leaving 4.16 as written. You are not in favor of the suggested options?
No, I'm not. I don't think we should be making any amendments. I don't think 4.16 should be in there. To suggest that the trustees have to attend every event, I mean, there's times where trustees can't attend board meetings. There's times trustees haven't been able to have equally distributed school-based learning plans. There's all sorts of things that are currently in practice. Are we looking to a model where we have to attend every single thing? And I think that's what 4.16 is suggesting.
Amen.
Sorry, I'll just jump in. I apologize if I won't apologize. I think I don't believe this board, from my observation, which I'll just give freely as an observer. I don't think the word all was ever. I think it just meant when there's a meeting or an event, it's in person. I don't think if the word all is problematic, we can certainly strike it and just say meetings. But it was. I don't recall this discussion about everybody attending everything all the time. I think it was strictly to do with the option or not to have virtual attendance to make any changes. So just for that piece, I think that's adding in another point. And if the board feels that requires clarification, happy to do that too. But I just for that piece, my intent to provide any options was only related to the conversation that we've been having about virtual attendance, not about everyone attending everything all the time all at once. That would be impossible.
And okay, if I'm hearing you right, Lisa, I think what you were saying is eliminate 4.16 altogether. And I don't think that was part of the discussion either.
Well, when I read it, I was implying that we had to attend everything. And
4.15 is
Says.
also does speak to
Yeah.
when invited and when possible, so.
Right. I think at this point, I think what the discussion is we either leave 4.16 as it is written. Or we change 4.16 to one of the options listed below, which staff did, I think probably Chris did on when we asked him to look at other districts to see what was done, then he came up with these suggested options. So those are the two things that are on the table. Either leave 4.16 as it is written in the highlighted yellow, or choose one of the other options to bring forward.
If staff, if the board would like me to chair, the chair would like me to go through the options from least to most, I'm happy to do that. That's helpful. I can summarize them or not.
Okay, do we have an appetite for that? And let's just do a quick raise of hands if we would like Chris to go through each of the suggested options for us to consider, or raise your hands if you would like that, or are we good to go? I think we're good. Melissa, go ahead.
I haven't really spoken very much about this because the feelings that I have towards it are personal. I, for one, don't like attending Zoom, but I really don't mind what other people do. I just really value that everybody has a voice and everybody speaks. So that's kind of where I'm at. So I'm fine with 4.16 staying the same, but I do wonder if we should strike out all. And I just wanted to explain why I've been so quiet about it.
Anybody else want to speak on it? Go ahead, Rebecca.
As I raised this, when I was the chair and I had 3 trustees comment about their struggle with, Zoom meetings. And I think it's apparent even today that it provides challenges in trying to chair when you can't see hands, when you can't see people, when cameras go off. We have had other meetings where connectivity is an issue, in particular when we're in schools. And so those online it's garbled and we can't hear or see. And then I want to add in as well that that there are times, and it's been recognized, and I've mentioned this prior, that when you got 2 trustees in the room and 5 online, and we have staff or students coming in to present, it's challenging. I also have concerns when we have in-camera discussions and I'm seeing individuals coming in and out of people's screens online. So therefore, there's the potential where those who aren't supposed to be hearing conversations are hearing them. There's been an imbalance and all the other things. So if we're just talking our school board meeting days, there's been there have been times where we have a trustee wasn't in attendance for 5 months. So those types of things when we're looking at imbalances. So those are just a few of the items that I have concerns about. Also hearing other people and their concerns and whatnot. So the intent for me was to bring this forward for an upcoming election, because the way it's being told and passed is that, oh no, it's 1 day a month, maybe 2 if we have the second day, but that there is a bit more of a commitment required. So if somebody's choosing to run or to be a trustee, then they have all the information.
Anybody else want to speak to it? I mean, I will just add that, yes, sharing a meeting with people on Zoom, in some ways, it's like today, I have a hard time seeing hands up. In other ways, it's sometimes it's less, cross table conversation, which is kind of helpful. But I do find the Zoom meeting, like Melissa, I definitely find a Zoom meeting being stressful and taxing, and I would prefer all of us to be in the room, of course. But I also know that there are times when I myself have to be forced to Zoom, which really goes against my grain, but I also don't really love technology that much, as is pretty evident. So I'm going to leave it there. I also want to point out about attendance at the AGM and the academy. I mean, I'm a huge, as you all know, professional development is my jam. And I have to say, and I'm going to say it every single time, that the professional development offered by BCSTA is among the best professional development I, as an educator for 30 years, have ever had. So I'm always sad when I'm at these amazing events and not all of us are there to hear what is being said, because I got to tell you, Gordon Lee goes above and beyond to make these events unbelievably amazing. So that's my plug for what I see in this particular policy. So anybody else?
Yeah, I'll just make one more comment, April. You know,
Okay,
we all,
thank you, Celeste.
it's okay. I think you're doing great, by the way. I know it's hard to see the hands, but I think we're making it work. So just, you know, we've discussed the issue of in-person learning versus reading. We all have different styles, and we all, you know, we've discussed, some people feel really strongly about the value of in-person seminars with, at AGM and through the BCSTA. And some of us have done it for many years in a row and are good and feel great about reading instead. So it's just one way. And so I just think we need to be open-minded to things that might work better for other people. And that's okay. We're all different, and we can all, you know, take things in the way that works best for us. So just keeping an open mind to differences and, you know, providing opportunities and not closing the door on what might work best for other people, I think is really important.
Okay, thank you, Celeste. Is there anyone prepared to make a motion on this? Well, somebody has to. Are we making a motion that we leave it as is, 4.16? Are we making a motion where we're going to pick one of the suggested options that Chris has prepared for us? Are we making a motion that we will leave 4.16 and remove all? I think those are our three options. So I need somebody, please, make a motion. Go ahead, Melissa.
That we keep 4.16, but remove the word all. And add that the chair should be alerted if you're not able to.
Isn't
I
that
think
one
it's
of them?
in there, though.
I think that is one
Yeah.
of the ones that Chris brought forward. That one seems a little bit strong. I'm not about to refuse, I don't think.
Yeah.
Or I don't think any chair would want to be in the position of refusing.
What I would say for that one, if I may, because I know the district that put that in, the specific thing about the appeal. So if you have a situation where we've suspended a student for indefinite period of time, and then you have the appeals process, there's a panel, and it's one trustee appointed to that. I think that would be problematic to do that virtually. Just for the sake of the child and the parent. I think that would, so that's why for that district, they do have those caveats. Because if again, heaven forbid, right, there's something very, very serious that the board is looking to, you know, fire the superintendent or something like that, right, for some egregious action. I feel that's why things are in person, especially in terms of legal liability and whatnot. So that's just a safety valve for folks. Because remember this, that once you pass this policy, this is for this
All
board
these
and
situations.
unless it gets reviewed again. So
Yeah,
that's the reason I believe that's in.
go ahead, Cynthia.
When I'd read the options available, I sort of felt like number 4 was quite similar to what we had, but quite a bit more wordy. And I also felt that adding that bit that we just talked about,
Informing the chair.
yeah, and the idea that adding the part from version 3 where special meetings held in private for the purpose of hearing appeals or conducting hearings, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh,
Could,
comes off
could
what
maybe
Chris is
be,
saying.
could maybe be added. Exactly, just like what Chris was saying, because I think there are, as you say, circumstances where it's respectful to all the people involved due to the sensitivity of the issue that's being discussed, that people be there in person. And number 4, I felt was very similar, but more wordy than what we already had. And so I would support what Melissa said, using what we have written, removing the word all, and then maybe putting in the addition of in person when we have special circumstances.
Does number 4 cover that off? But it doesn't say
Number
what
4
informs the
does-
chair.
Number 4 does not. It's
No.
number 4 plus 3.
So none of the
Do you
options
think it's very?
are capturing all of what you're saying, Cynthia.
No.
No. So we need to draft something starting with what we have, I think. Go
April,
ahead,
can I speak to that really quickly? So I
Yeah.
think the scenario that Chris was trying to address, that Cynthia's advocating for, please correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, in such a scenario where we had to have a panel, it would likely be the board chair or the vice chair, or it would be somebody that would be appointed to do that work. And if that person said that they couldn't attend in person, it would be reasonably expected that another person would be asked. Like it would be, am I correct to say that? Like I can't see in all of the years I've been doing this, a situation where someone would be asked to do that work and they would say, I can only attend remotely, and then it would move ahead. Like surely someone else would be asked.
Again, the purpose of clarity in the policy for that school district this was just copy and paste, right, from all the different areas. I didn't do any amendments because again, that's what this group is for. That was just the rationale to just keep it tight and not make assumptions.
So.
I don't disagree. A reasonable group should be
Right.
reasonable.
And for further
you.
clarification, the situation that you mentioned, it does not require the entire board to attend. It only requires 1 or 2 representatives. Is that correct?
For that specific one, others do require, if it's a topic, again, as it says, where it is preferred to have everybody in person. This just provides that opportunity. Again, I'm not making a recommendation.
No,
I'm
no,
just sharing
I
what
know.
the.
So is there any of these sensitive situations that require the presence of the entire board, remote or not? Remote?
I think
No.
that's an opinion then. I think my feeling is if you're terminating someone's contract or you're firing someone, respectfully, hopefully we never have to do that. I
Should
would
be the whole
really, in camera, I would think
You think it's important for the whole board to be there?
I
In
think it's
that
important to
situation.
have quorum of in-person attendance.
Okay.
For those sorts of things, for those reasons you mentioned of
Right.
security and,
Okay,
yeah, it's just.
okay,
Wouldn't want
So-
to press that legal risk.
so, okay. That might need to be added.
May I say one more thing, April?
Go ahead, Celeste.
This sounds as though it's something complicated, and I would hate to rush contemplation of a change to policy. I wonder if taking this discussion away and contemplating it further, and perhaps either looking at it again next month or when it comes up, I think this is coming up within 6 months or so in the review schedule anyhow. So we're not rushing to solve a problem that is unlikely to have, like to find words in 5 minutes that for a problem that is unlikely to exist for us, although it might and is maybe worth contemplation with like some time to really think about it.
Okay, any thoughts on that comment? Are we good tabling this discussion for when it comes up in rotation, which I believe is the next school year? I mean, it does go against what Rebecca brought it forward because she wanted to have it in place before the next.
Okay, I'm gonna
election.
clarify, it's not me,
No,
right?
What you just said,
Because,
sorry.
yes, because it was brought to me on from three different trustees that this was a concern. So I brought it forward. Also, we passed a motion to take this out of
Yes,
rotation.
we did.
So now we're gonna discard that motion and this is what you just suggested, discard the motion and then go back to its original cycle. So I think that involves a process.
Okay.
As well. And then I forgot to add earlier that when we have in-camera discussions at the board office, when we have the speaker going, it is heard outside that door because we have the speaker and we have the Zoom happening. So those discussions are not in private at the time. Like if somebody's walking to the bathroom, they can hear conversations that are happening. So it just, there's just a few things that I'm thinking
Okay.
about as we move forward.
I respect the idea that we did vote to have this done. We did vote to take it out of rotation. So if we table it, we're going against that motion. So we need to have a thought on that.
Then-
And sorry, Lisa's got her hand up. Go ahead.
So I was just going to try to make a motion that we defer to the next board meeting for the proper wording on the amendment.
Okay. Did you make a motion to that, Lisa?
Sure. That was
Hang
it.
on, there's a motion already on
Motion on
the,
the table.
Melissa has
Was there?
made
Okay.
Thank you for that. I was
Sorry,
gonna jump
Lisa,
in. You-
we
you-
do
you
have a
had
motion
one
on
that
the
you have to
table
second.
that- But we don't really, because the motion, yes, we do. Melissa's
we-
motion,
we
which
do
was
have-
just to remove the word all. Then the discussion talked about adding other bits.
We need to do a.
Mine was to remove all and add that you notify the chair.
Okay, that is the, and we had a seconder for that.
No, we didn't.
No, we didn't. Okay, my bad. Let's move back. Melissa, could you say it again, please?
That we keep 4.16 as is, but take away the word all and add that you must contact the chair if you don't plan to attend in person.
Do we have a seconder for that motion? Cynthia. Any more discussion on that motion? Celeste, you have your hand up.
I will say one thing. The motion that we made to bring it out of rotation, we are actioning today by discussing it. So I don't think that we did anything wrong. Like it's not, agreeing to not discuss it further or not do anything or whatever it is, like we are actioning the motion that we made to bring it out of rotation already. So I just wanted to say that for clarity. I don't think that we've done it correctly in terms of talking about it now.
Thank you, Celeste. Any more discussion on the motion that's on the floor?
Sorry, I just want to clarify, Melissa, can you see the motion there? Is that what you wanted, or did you want notification to the chair? It says board chair approval.
Notification to the board,
To the chair.
to the chair. And I do want to say, if I can, that I fully understand what you're saying, Rebecca, and everything that you're saying is valid. And I do worry that if we made this very strict, then it would really be detrimental to some amazing people who could come in, but maybe didn't drive or had mobility issues. So that's kind of where my fear of making this too strict is coming from. But I want you to know that I hear you and I fully agree with everything you said, which does make this conversation tricky.
Okay, so you're
Go
good with
ahead,
the wording.
Rebecca.
So, no, sorry. So we're good with this, we have a second. We already did that.
Yeah, we're at the discussion of the motion that Melissa brought forward. Go ahead, Rebecca.
Just give me a second. I appreciate your words and your concern, but I also keep reiterating that this was brought forward because I received several complaints about the challenges of online. And in no uncertain terms did I ever suggest that medical was not an extenuating circumstance. So that keeps coming up and I want to be clear about that. And such. Again, my concern goes back to how are we not going to have, like Chris said, quorum in the room and such, right now, the four of us, let's be honest, are the ones who are generally in the room. We all have different other commitments in our lives and miss events and meetings and such. So, you know, I was recently away and missed some school learning plans. As does everyone else, have their own commitments. But I'm just trying to figure out a way that we can have some sort of attendance. This is all new since COVID. We didn't have online options prior to that. So, you know, this is something that it's not historical. It's not 20 years in practice. This is since 2020. So anyway, that's where I stand. I feel like I'm isolated and that this is Rebecca's item, and that is not the case. And in no way, shape, or form did anyone advise me they weren't going to be at meetings. It was always, when I was the chair, it was always brought to Archie. And sometimes when I got to the room, that's when I found out somebody wasn't going to be either in attendance or in attendance online versus virtual. So.
Okay, I'm just gonna speak to that. Since this discussion has happened, a couple of things have been cleaned up. We do have now protocol, even though it's not policy, it's protocol for online meetings. And it seems like that we've kind of jumped that hurdle. So that's a positive outcome from this discussion. Also from this discussion, and because you brought it forward and the awareness has been raised, both Celeste and Lisa both told me that they weren't going to be attending virtually. So that is because I believe that we have already unwittingly raised the bar on behavior and protocols for board meetings. So for that, I think we've had a really positive outcome from these discussions. So I think we're at a place right now where we either need to vote on Melissa's motion if there's no further discussion. Anybody else have anything else to say before I'm going to get Archie or Melissa to reread the motion, and then I'm going to call the vote unless we have any other conversation. Okay, seeing none. Melissa, do you have a motion there to read it again, please?
That the policy committee recommends that the Board of Education approve section 4.6 of policy 202 trustee role as currently written, with the exception of removing the word all and adding notification to the board chair.
Do we need to be more specific about notification for board chair, notification about attending via Zoom or remotely? Do we need to add that specificity? Just a question.
Or attendance in general. So I think it's fine.
Are we good?
I'm sorry, just for staff's sake, I would just ask them, please consider a time. Is it the day before, week before? Because to set up for remote meetings, depending on where we are, if we're here, if we're elsewhere, if we think everybody's coming in the morning, that could be problematic.
Okay,
It does say where possible, but it's just.
could we make an
it's just-
amendment then? Can we make an amendment then? Could somebody make an amendment to the current motion so we don't have to vote and scrap it? Make an amendment to the current motion that would include a bit more specificity. Go ahead, Melissa.
What would that time frame look like? The bed, was it 48 hours, 7 days? 'Cause, like,
Yeah, I
things
think
happen
that's what he's
quickly.
asking.
so.
Yeah.
I mean, but so again, just a suggestion, just for future boards, right? Because if you leave it just inform the board, then someone, I mean, sometimes there's different personalities on boards, and I would hate to see a situation where, because there are issues that are on other boards where I'm going to tell you 5 minutes before and it's in policy, it doesn't have a timeline. So I would just say 24 hours. Right, and if you're sick, you're sick. Like you don't have to, like,
You shouldn't be attending.
there's
period.
these things too, right? And of course, if it's unavoidable, oh my gosh, I'm a couple hours late. I think we can again go to that piece about responsibility. I'm just thinking of future staff. It might put us in.
Can I say something about that, April?
You know,
Go ahead,
vote.
Celeste. Are you gonna make a friendly amendment? Or are we still discussing?
I'm gonna suggest that we don't make an amendment for the reason of, I think what you're saying, Chris, is that video equipment might not be set up if no one gave notice, but you might not know until the morning that you're ill. And we wouldn't want to create a situation where someone has to attend ill or otherwise fear that they can't attend.
Okay, does anybody else want to make an amendment to add more specificity? Celeste, is your hand up again or still up?
Like I
Anybody
said-
else want to make an amendment to add more specificity? Okay. Then I'm going to call the vote. All in favor of the motion? And opposed? Okay, so did we have that recorded? Okay. The motion is passed. Okay, moving on. Policy 706, acceptable use of information and communicating technology or communications technology, and that's Chris.
Okay, so this is a two-parter. I think what I want to state first is when we were chatting about this policy before, we were thinking of incorporating the use of AI into the policy. However, upon reflection, upon looking at what other districts are doing, we feel there needs to be a separation between the first policy, which is the use of the technology provided by the district. So as explained, it's the devices, the servers, etc., which is separate from the use of AI. So you'll see there's reference in this policy to AI, which we haven't passed yet, and I've got thoughts on that one too. So if that's acceptable for the board, I would like to just share that. So it's actually a new policy. It's the AI policy. But more importantly, this policy has been updated to ensure that we're referencing visitors use, which of course we do, the use of social media on our devices. Even though we have reference to social medias in other places, such as, with the workplace, etc., felt that it was important to name it again. We also included a bring your own device opportunity, so BYOD, which we didn't have before, because we absolutely encourage folks, especially students, if they have their own devices to use. We wanted to make sure that we referenced the violations to the policy, just referencing code of conduct and our other policies around how we conduct ourselves. Secondly, or maybe fifthly, I removed the administrative procedures because APs, we have an AP manual now, and so this would just be moved and updated to our admin procedures, that if there's any changes made to the forms, or we use different systems, we don't have to bring that to the board, because it's really operational. The APs are operational. So I don't think it's well, maybe the board may feel it's significant against enough to go out for public impact, but I think it's more of a modernization of the language and to ensure again that we reference visitor use, BYOD, social media, and just reinforcing code of conduct and behavioral expectations of use of these devices. Again, it's separate from a cell phone policy, of course, because it's covered, but we're not talking about students of cell phone service, since that is their own device.
You say that again?
The cell phone's a separate policy,
Right.
And isn't referenced in this policy, because this is, except for BYOD in terms of laptops, this is the use of our technology,
Okay,
our servers, and we unless the teacher, again, in our policy is specifically, we don't have our students using their phones, right? We always provide
Right.
the work
Okay.
for them,
Gotcha.
or the device for them, and if that's under the teacher responsibility and governance in our policy for cell phones. So we didn't want to muddy the water with the cell phones.
Okay. Celeste, go ahead.
Yeah, I thought that this policy and the AI policy were well written. Like, there's nothing that stood out necessarily to me. They don't seem complicated. The only comment that I would have is that these seem, both of them, like great policies to sort of explicitly seek some sort of student feedback on, not necessarily like put them out for public impact, but I would be so curious to know what the kids have to say on these.
I appreciate that. Yeah, so I should mention that. So one of my proposals, and it may be something to consider for video surveillance as well. If when we get to the AI, just given the length of time, so if we deferred the sharing of this to September, then you actually have kids in session, you've got people in session, and if we were to do it now, it's a 60-day period, and we're actually getting into July. And so I would just that would be was one of the suggestions once we get to the AI piece, that for the two new policies, there's the opportunity for that feedback. We also have some direction from Finesc as well, and so there's some language we would want to incorporate once we get it, or because there's some concerns around appropriation of Indigenous language, etc., without permission. So in the use of AI, there's some strong feelings there. So that would be part of the input process, and of course, any new policy we take it to IEC as well. So I'm hoping that answers your question a little bit, Danielle. That the acceptable use again is more standalone, but that piece around AI use for sure. We want to hear from kids. So I guess I'm asking for a motion to approve policy 706 with the permission that it actually remove the link to AI, because I don't want to put the AI one forward yet. I'd actually want to do that, bring it back in September. Talk about it then.
Okay. Right, I'm just gonna, maybe I'm out of line right here, but Lisa, I love how that you are really engaged in but it's giving me anxiety that you're listening to a board meeting and driving. And I don't know if anybody else feels the same, but I love that you're with us. But I also would love it if you didn't tune in while you're driving. And maybe I'm out of line saying that, but I had to say it because I'm being hugely distracted. And anyway.
It's no different than an audiobook.
Pardon?
It's no different than an audiobook.
Okay, well, then maybe just turn off the, I don't know. Sorry,
Well, the
Just
camera
give us
on
me,
is
like,
in
it's
our
a lot.
protocol.
pardon?
The camera on is in the protocol you just referred to.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, okay, I'm
and
sorry,
such.
maybe it's just me.
But I agree, it's a public meeting, and this isn't great role modeling
Well, for me,
to
it
any
was more
students
about
because
safety,
she's trying
but
to touch the phone while she's driving and stuff, so.
For me, it was just about safety, for her
Yeah,
safety
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's both role modeling and safeties.
and my own personal
I didn't
anxiety
see
about it. So, sorry, that was out of line.
As soon
Okay,
as April said something, she was trying to touch the phone.
okay, so could we have a motion, please, for policy 706?
That the policy committee recommends the Board of Education approve policy 706, acceptable use of information and communications technology as presented. Did you
Thank
have something changed though?
No,
Did I already take it out? I thought I had referenced.
I don't see it in
Link-
it.
link
Oh,
like-
look at me. I already did it. I didn't even know. Okay, thank you.
okay, thank you. Could I have a seconder, please? Go ahead. Thank you, Cynthia. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, policy 710, acceptable use. Okay, you kind of spoken to this a bit, Chris, but go for it.
Yeah, I'll just briefly speak to it once more to say that this policy wasn't made up by me. I want to be really clear about that. This is based on best practices that's happening in districts that have the policy already. Some that just have it as an AP, but I like the idea of this being a board policy. I think it's very important that the board is aware and able to speak to how we use AI or plan to use AI in our district. I will just have folks note in some of the legislative and policy framework at the end, that the ministry has been providing some really great resources, things we've shared already, of course, with staff, families. It's on our website around the use of AI in K-12 settings. So I know we had this on the agenda, didn't want to take it off, but I wanted to just speak to the fact that would like to well, I guess you could make a motion now, I suppose, for September, but I would just ask that this go out for impact in September, because there'll probably be some slight changes over the summer if there's
Yes.
things happen,
over the week,
or even over the week. Yeah, who
the
knows?
day.
So
Okay, so
yeah,
we are
it's
not making
committee meeting. No, it's just.
a motion. This is just for,
That's right.
just
For
for
any-
reference.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions or comment of this particular policy? Celeste, go ahead.
I think we've done it like that before, Chris. I recall another policy that maybe last year went out for public impact. And I don't see any, just to clarify, were you suggesting that there might be just small housekeeping amendments to the policy before it goes out for public impact?
Yeah, and my plan would be to share that at policy committee in September. And that's
Okay.
where, after that's all done, ask for the motion for this to go up for public impact.
Okay, so you're not asking for us to do
No.
that today? No problem. Okay.
Okay, any other comments or questions on policy 710?
Sorry, I do have a question about that. So, we have video surveillance that has to go up for public impact as well. So would you rather they just go together?
That would make sense.
Is everyone?
Yeah, I think that
I think
makes
again,
sense.
it provides, folks are more likely to be responsive during the school year. I'm just worried about into June, people go off on vacation, and I think these are important policies
Yeah.
for impact.
So I think we'll combine the motions together, the two that have to go for public impact, and we'll just keep them together. Does that sound good to everyone?
Do we need a motion
But
for
we're-
it to go out to public impact?
We're gonna hold, this is just
We're gonna
committee,
hold.
we don't need to
For
make
those
a
two, we
motion to
don't need
hold.
to.
Okay, Cynthia, go ahead.
Was there a time restriction on the video surveillance one?
No,
The existing one would still be in place, so
Oh,
you
yes,
would
okay.
still
so
expect.
there isn't,
It's
we-
under,
it's been removed from the privacy, so actually there is. It's
So going back to Cynthia's
Oh, yeah.
question, is there a timeline to get it in place?
well, I think what I would say, I mean, on strictly, or, according to this, if we're being super strict, then the problem is that means there's no requirement for me to provide a report to the board at the end of the year. But that said, I could do that in after the fact, or I can just ask, can I just provide an informal report?
Okay.
In June, outside of policy. I think that's fine.
Okay,
Once the board's okay with that.
all right, any other, oh, Celeste, go ahead, Celeste.
Yeah, if usually when we send things out for impact, do people usually respond in the first month, or do you find you get a lot of responses near the end?
Yeah, honestly, it really varies. That's why I'm hesitant
Okay.
to
Okay.
do it. Because I will say we have a current policy that's out that comes due June 2nd. And
Mhm.
it's coming in dribs and drabs. So I wouldn't want to make I wouldn't want to make a definitive statement, because I know that'll turn around and get me later. So but I
If
appreciate
you
the
don't-
question. Thank you.
Yeah, if you don't feel like there's a big risk, then I think trust your judgment.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I just a quick comment to that. Sometimes I think a shorter timeline gets a quicker turnaround than we all know from the census that we just had 3 days notice on. Most people got to it, so I don't know necessarily that increasing the length of the time for response actually increases the number of responses.
Well, next review, the board could determine to make it a 30-day instead of a 60-day for new policies.
Yeah,
But
'cause
currently that's
it's
your
like-
policy.
You know, I think the opposite's true. The longer you give, the less response, but
I agree.
there's probably no doubt of that, apart from yesterday's example. Okay, so seeing no more conversation, it says we have no action items.
So we do have,
Zero.
a recommendation that needs to be read out.
Okay, go ahead. Cynthia, go ahead.
That the policy committee recommend the Board of Education approve policy 706, acceptable use of information and communication.
We did that.
We did that.
We didn't do the bylaw that, oh, no, we have it.
Oh,
Second, I got
sorry.
it.
Oh, yeah, there
Yes.
we go.
Here we go.
Sorry, just reading the
Sorry, I
last.
was on the wrong page.
That the policy committee recommend the Board of Education approve bylaw 200.1
Oh, yeah.
dash 2026 trustee elections.
Got a second for that motion. Thank you, Rebecca. All in favor? And that's passed. Could I have the second recommendation read, please? That one's been.
Ready
That
to
we're
go
going
on.
to.
been
Yeah.
done. Okay,
And we don't need anything for 710.
and now we need clarifications. from the public.
Where is something there?
Okay, then this meeting is adjourned. We now have lunch, so I will see everybody back at 12:45.